All right, here we go with this week's topic is called protein power. And no, that's not a misspelling. I'm not talking about protein powder. This is the power of protein. It's the nutrient that burns fat literally while you eat it. So this is applicable to why we have you eat 4 to 6 ounces of lean protein at both of your meals. So last week when we talked about when to eat, and today we're going to talk about what to eat as the anchor for each of your meals. So if you remember one thing this week, remember this: the 4 to 6 ounces of lean protein you're eating at both lunch and dinner. There is a method to the madness. Here's the strange thing that a lot of people don't realize with regard to protein: it's the only food your body has to actually work to digest. It has to work hard to digest protein. That work burns calories. So by the end of these couple minutes, you'll understand exactly why protein does the heavy lifting in the New Life Weight Loss program. So I want you to remember one thing: protein is the only macronutrient that costs your body to digest it. Every food you eat has a digestion tax. The calories that your body burns, just to break it down, that's what the digestion tax is. For most foods, the tax is tiny. For carbohydrates, for example, your body burns about 5 to 10% of the calories just digesting them. Fat, it's about 0 to 3%, almost nothing. For protein, it's 20 to 30%, 5 to 6 times higher than any other food. So think about it this way: if you're eating 100 calories of chicken breast, your body only keeps about 75 of those calories. You're burning 25 of those calories just to digest the protein. If you eat 100 calories of bread, however, your body is keeping 90 of those calories, only burning maybe 5 to 10 of them. So the difference starts to compound across all of your meals. About all your calories, your 2,000 calories a day, are you using 200 or 500 of those calories just to digest the other calories? Now, certainly not, because you're not going to eat 2,000 calories of protein necessarily. But you get the idea. So the difference is compounding. Same plate, same fork, but it's completely different outcome on the scale when you talk about what it costs your body in terms of calories or energy needs to break down proteins versus carbohydrates. So let's talk about what happens in the 90 minutes after you eat. Two different meals. Same person, two different lunches. What happens over the 90 minutes afterwards? High protein lunch. So you eat 4 to 6 ounces of chicken, maybe a salad, your 4 ounces of fruit, excuse me, and your blood sugar rises gently. Your insulin stays moderate. You get satiety hormones, things like PYY and GLP-1. Ever heard of that? GLP-1 gets produced by your body when you eat a high protein meal and keep your insulin in check. And so those satiety hormones telling your body that you're fed and you're not hungry anymore, they light up and they stay lit for 3 to 5 hours. A high carb lunch, let's say a bagel, some juice, a granola bar, spikes your blood sugar within 30 minutes. Then you're crashing. Insulin is up. It's pushing it back, pushing the sugar back down. So within 90 minutes, you have been on this roller coaster ride. And immediately your hunger comes back and you're rummaging around for a snack before 3 o'clock. It's the same calorie count: 100 calories of one, or 300 calories of one type of food versus 300 calories of another type of food. So people who say it's, all you have to do is count calories, it's not the case. You're going to struggle. You're going to be on the struggle bus if you're eating a lot of high carb calories because of what they do to your blood sugar, your insulin sensitivity, etc. But if you focus on protein and getting the protein in there, it has a completely different impact on your physiology. The high protein lunch, of course, as we mentioned, is going to burn more calories during the digestion. So 75 of those 300 calories is going to go to actually digesting the meal. In that high carb lunch, maybe only about 20 calories is going to be used to actually digest the food. So again, compounding this meal after meal, day after day, week after week, and there's a huge difference, has a huge impact on your weight loss journey. So what's the mechanism? Protein doesn't do just one thing. It works at a couple different angles at the same time. So pathway one, this is kind of getting more into the science of it, is called the thermic effect. So this is what we talked about. 20 to 30% of the protein calories are burned during digestion. The body has to break down the protein into its subcomponents, which are called amino acids. It has to transport them across your digestive system into the bloodstream, and then it has to reassemble them into, polypeptides or proteins, and that's metabolic work. And so your body pays the price, the tax for that, to do that, 20 to 30%. The second pathway that protein does is it lights up these satiety hormones, the feeling full signals, PPY and GLP-1. They keep firing for 3 to 5 hours after you eat the protein. Ghrelin, the hunger hormone, starts to go down. So you have less hunger. You feel like, hey, I don't need to eat anymore. I'm satisfied. And also, pathway 3, if you have 2.5 grams of a specific amino acid called leucine, which is what you'll get in about 30 grams of protein, also equivalent to about 4 ounces of chicken breast, your body is going to flip into muscle building for a couple of hours just from eating the protein. Not talking about you having done any actual weightlifting. I'm talking about just eating the protein causes you to build muscle. So when you're also in a calorie deficit, which our program does put you in a calorie deficit, this is what tells your body now, okay, burn the fat and not the protein in terms of your muscle. So you're not going to have muscle atrophy, muscle wasting if you're getting adequate levels of protein in your diet. So 3 pathways for this one nutrient in protein. So we need to have it in every meal. Here's an analogy. We've got 2 trucks. One truck is bringing steel beams. The crew unloads them, measures them, cuts them, fits them into place, welds them together. And now we've got a structure, hours and hours of skilled work that costs fuel, energy, time, money. By the end of the day, the building, though, is taller. The structure is secure. It lasts. Truck 2 comes in, dumps a bunch of dry kindling on the ground. The crew sets it on fire, burns up in seconds. It's hot for a minute. It's gone. You've got nothing left. No work, no skill required. Same number of calories in each truck. These are the calories. Protein versus refined carbs. Protein's the steel beams, refined carbs are the kindling. In this example, a protein has a high cost to process, but it builds structure that lasts. Your muscle, you're building muscle, which is going to increase your basal metabolic rate, which is going to cause you to burn more calories later. It's going to help with maintenance and maintaining your weight loss long term. The refined carbs, however, it doesn't cost anything to process them, barely. There's no structure. There's nothing left after, 90 minutes after you eat. It's gone. There's nothing. You have no, the carbs have no legacy, so to speak. The protein's got legacy. It's incorporated in the muscle. Every time you eat, you're choosing which truck is showing up by choosing what type of food that you're consuming. Again, the proof is in the science. So studies show 5 to 10% net burn for carbs, 0 to 3% for fat, but 25 to 30% of your calories of protein are going to be burned during digestion. The leucine threshold that I mentioned, that leucine, you get to 2.5 grams, which is found in 30 grams of protein, 4 ounces of chicken breast. That's going to activate muscle synthesis, building muscle for 3 to 4 hours. Hit that at both meals, you're building muscle, from afternoon into evening. And study also showed that more fat was lost on a high protein diet. So when they matched the calories, same amount of calories, high protein groups lost 40% more body fat and preserved more muscle than standard protein groups. So when you have more protein, you're going to burn more calories. You're going to make more muscle. It's proven. Eat your protein. Maybe some things you did not know. How you break your fast matters more than what you eat at dinner, for example. So this study showed that for time-restricted eaters, the macronutrient composition of the first meal after the fast, so in this case with our program, it's usually lunch, has a bigger effect on the whole day's appetite and the insulin response than the dinner did. So if you're on a 16/8 fasting, your noon meal is the lever. Break your fast with protein and the rest of the day gets easier. The per meal leucine is more important than the total daily grams of protein. So get that 30 grams at lunch and dinner, so you hit the 2.5 grams of leucine. Remember, that's just the amino acid that helps you to get into muscle building. And then mixed sources. So you do want to try to get a variety. Don't eat chicken at every meal, lunch and dinner, lunch and dinner, lunch and dinner. Have some other protein sources. It is important to get a variety. And as we loosen up your diet, once you hit your weight loss goal, you can incorporate more types of protein like lentils and things like that. So how do we put it into practice? Pick proteins that you like. You see, I have in brackets here things that are not really on the initial food plan, but I leave them in there because those are good things. Once you've met your goal and you're on maintenance, you can incorporate more of those things. So boring is fine when you're building a habit, but you want to branch out. Your body likes novelty. It's important to have variety. Calibrate your hand once. So weigh your 4 ounces of chicken, 4 ounces of beef, put it in your palm and make it the thickness of your thumb and see how much of your palm it covers. And then you can gauge how much 4 ounces is. We have you weigh it for a long time because we want to teach you, look, you don't have to count calories. We just want you to be able to eyeball it. So, after you weigh enough 4 ounce portions of meat, you'll be able to eyeball it at a restaurant. You don't have to pull out your scale at the steakhouse to see how much steak you're eating. Although they'll probably tell you. Because I do ask sometimes at the restaurant, how much of salmon is that? How much steak am I getting? So hit your 4 to 6 ounces at lunch and dinner, depending on where you're at. Some people we have 4, some people 6. If you're hungry and you're at 4 ounces, go to 6. Don't even ask us, just do it, and then tell us that you're doing it. That's what we're gonna tell you to do. Number one mistake is loading lunch with protein and going carb heavy in dinner. Of course, we're not necessarily doing that. We have a very rigid program, and that's why we have it set that way, because we don't want to go carb heavy at dinner. Eat the protein first. So this is saying before the salad, before the rice. Of course, we're not doing rice here in the beginning, but your protein is important to help, especially before your fruit, is probably how I should have worded this. You want to eat your protein before your fruit because it'll slow any sugar spike that could come from your fruit, which is going to be minimal anyway, but still helpful. And then track your satiety, not your calories. So aim for 4 hours of between your meals with no hunger. If you can go from lunch to dinner and not get hungry until maybe an hour before dinner, that you're doing fantastic. That's great. If you get hungry sooner, add more protein to your next meal. So again, go up to 6 ounces. Try not to snack in between. So if you have chronic kidney disease, kidney stones, history of gout, or for some reason you've been prescribed a low protein diet, there are some genetic diseases, for example, any type of advanced liver disease, you're going to have difficulty digesting high amounts of protein. So if that's the case, you got to let us know so we can modify things for you. So hope this was helpful. I went a little longer than I wanted. This is the protein power, and we will go on to a next topic in the next video. We'll see you then.